Hi guys, it's Lana, and as you know, this is the Second Breakfast Club. So really quickly, I want to do an introduction to this series I'm about to do with my dad. I'm going to slap this at the beginning of every video in the series, so if you've already seen it, feel free to skip ahead. If not, please listen, just to help kind of clarify what we're going to be doing here. So as a lot of you know, Bangtan universe is basically solved at this point. There are webtoons coming out, there's novels coming out. The purpose of this series is not to solve the story. I'm not going to be telling my dad anything that won't help understand basic symbolisms. Like I'll tell him what the Demian book is when we get into the Wings short films because that's, you know, important. But I'm not going into deep theories. He's probably not going to get deep into every individual character or anything. I just wanted to see what this story looks like to fresh eyes, like eyes that have really never followed BTS or studied BTS, eyes that know mostly like literary symbolism and artistic composition, and just get his fresh, honest take on this. So with that in mind, I just want to make sure that when you leave comments or talk about this video that you consider what the actual goal is. I know in the past when we've done similar things, we've gotten feedback like, oh, you didn't talk about this book or you didn't talk about this thing. That's not the point here. The point is just fresh eyes. So don't go into this expecting anything intense. If you want more in-depth stuff, you can watch my actual theory videos. Although again, it's pretty much solved at this point, which is why I'm still unsure if we're even going to do the highlight reels and beyond, because that's on the webtoon. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this series, and I hope that it gives you a fresh perspective on things. It certainly was nice for me to go back and experiencing things for the first time almost again. It's really lovely. So enjoy and have fun. All right, so now we are starting the short films. So what the short films are is, so they had an album, Wings, and these were teasers to promote the album. Okay. So there's 7 videos, each one starring one member. And there's always going to be a music sting in the video because in Wings they had solo songs.
What's a music sting?
So there'll be a moment of a part of a song or a lyric, like a 3-second clip of something. Because each member had a solo song, and so technically these teasers are teasing their solo work. Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So parts of their songs will work their way in. What else? Oh, and this is...
I guess I would have called that a hook.
Yeah, a hook. Similar idea. Just, that's why there will suddenly be a music tiny bit. Because these are technically mini commercials. Okay. But they are all story. And also at this point, the whole Wings era is influenced by a novel called Demian that I'm sure you haven't read. Right?
No, but Demian from a demon.
No, Demian. It's a name.
Demian.
Yes. So this was a novel, I believe...
It's not like a demon with wings.
No. So this was a coming-of-age short story, I believe in either the early 1900s, late 1800s, that was written. And the concept of the book is, it's about a young man named Sinclair who makes a friend in high school named Demian, who's kind of an all-around bad influence. And so the whole book is kind of this war of good and evil, like Sinclair being
what's
tainted.
A demon?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, but it's very linked to Gnosticism more than that, or Jungian theory more than Christianity.
Demon type thing.
And sorry for spoilers if you still plan on reading Demian. Most of the army have already read it. At the end, you find out that Demian is just another half of Sinclair. Okay. So it's kind of coming of age in accepting the good and the bad in ourselves, and we can only really find peace if we embrace both. Right? Okay. So the reason I mention this is some of the symbolism is from that. Like, it might seem something like, well, this guy was not a painter in the first one. That's because it's something from the novel. But also, every short film begins with an English line. Okay. And they're lines from that book. Okay. So they're not just suddenly saying these things. This is someone reading an excerpt from that book that has something to do with this story. Okay. So where this is going is kind of individually explaining the different characters a little more in depth without their friends around them. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's helpful for someone like you who is trying to be like, wait, who did this? Who did that? Mm-hmm. Each one is just one person.
Okay.
And it's focused on their individual story within the larger story.
Okay.
I'm sorry if that was an overload.
My head. No, sorry.
But I'm kind of also saying it so you guys know what he knows and where he's coming from. Because, again, this is literally all he's heard about the short films, except that there are short films. So that is what he's going into this knowing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with short film number 1, Begin. The name of the video is Begin. And
that's probably a good beginning of these.
Right? And this stars the youngest member of the group, Jungkook.
Okay.
Who is the one who's beaten up in the alley and hit by a car in the first one.
Ouch.
And
he can still make the film.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's why we know these are nonlinear. Other important moments, he's the one who was trying to help his alcoholic friend and got hit and has that moment where they zoom in on him and they zoom out and the people are gone. That's this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, like, that's who this is. Those are his big moments. And his symbol... because all of them kind of have a symbol. Honestly, I think Jungkook's thing is getting hit by a car. So like car lights, car screeches, car sounds. He wasn't really tied to an element at this point. Yeah, I think at this point he was pretty underdeveloped actually. Mm-hmm. So,
okay,
let's get here. That's all.
Right.
Let's do this. So 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, you watch too,
go.
Right?
And these are so short, we can watch them the second time if you want to, but if you get everything you need to on the first one, it's fine. These do have English subs.
The rhythms of day and night, two different words coming from two opposite poles, mingle during this time.
I'll just say before this because I love this one. I want them to do horror.
Okay.
So, I told you this when we're starting to get into the surreal.
Okay.
So, what do you think?
Well, obviously they are doing the day and night. They're doing the good and bad, but what he's done is he's gone back in time to when he didn't have much and it's not so much he didn't have many things. It's more he didn't see himself as being much. Mm-hmm. And he's painting himself. He's trying to create himself. But at the same time, things around him are messing him up. He's seeing things burning up, chances going up in flames. He sees himself being torn apart, messed over. But on the envelope he picks up, he sees both butterflies and birds. And at the end, his shadow is that of a phoenix, which is born out of flames and becomes great and fiery. So basically, even though he had such beginnings where he thought everything was falling apart, he could be born out of the flames and out of the desolation and become great.
Very cool.
Did that work?
Yeah. Again,
Something close?
To me, these short films are the most up for interpretation.
Okay.
So yes, I mean, as you watch them, certain things will build, like certain symbols, certain ideas, but
the thing is, the phoenix being a more of a Western type of symbol throws me a little bit.
I always thought of the phoenix as... Well, what was the beginning of the phoenix? Greek mythology?
I think so. I would have expected them to draw more on Eastern culture. This is almost kind of like the Chinese yin yang stuff.
Yin yang.
But it's really light and darkness. Yeah. Everybody has these. Even people who are great see themselves as not being very good inside. Yeah. They see their faults, or they see themselves as great. And sometimes, one minute they see themselves as great big, and other times they see themselves as small. Kind of like when I'm doing something great, I think at work, and then I make a really stupid mistake, and it's kind of like I take a little needle and my head strings right back down.
And yet at the same time, your light and your dark sides make you complete.
Right. The dark side, these things that we see bad in ourselves keep us from becoming too proud and keep us teachable. But we need to see the good in ourselves to make us feel some kind of self-worth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think perhaps too, there is a lot of Western imagery in some of the stuff they're doing, both because, the West influences the East these days, but the novel they're drawing on is a British novel, too.
Yeah, that's true. And it's just like the other video that we watched.
I think it's British. Maybe it's American.
That had all sorts of English graffiti.
Yes.
It's kind of like...
Actually, when I went to Seoul, there's a lot of English all over the place. I get the feeling, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but that a lot of English is trendy in Korea. Like, I heard recently that there are these old campaign sweaters from a 1994 campaign. They've gotten very popular over there. People are wearing them all over the place because it looks cool. It doesn't matter what it was for.
Right.
So you'll find a lot of like English graffiti, English and Western influence, but it's kind of filtered through the lens of people who are seeing that as a different culture that's kind of cool and different, But yeah, definitely. And again, your thoughts and ideas might shift as you watch them because they do build on each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like some symbolism comes back in other videos.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I could see a film one day and have one interpretation. The next day, I could see something different and feel something different just because of the experiences of the day. Yeah,
and also even if these go together, they were released separately. So there's a reason why something was made on its own and a reason why it's a part of a whole. And I think it's really important to talk about what we see in something as a standalone.
Yeah, too. Especially since they're talking light and dark, which are opposites, fire and water, which are opposites, flight and ash, which are opposites.
Yeah, creation and destruction.
Yeah. And I think that's what your book that they're basing it is based on.
Yeah, it's very Gnostic and very Jungian theory, and that's a big part of that. Is like the persona and the real self, the having to accept every part of yourself to be able to be okay as a full person, and that means admitting when you're bad at something, admitting when you're weak about something, admitting all these things so you can acknowledge it and either get better or embrace it because it's just a part of yourself. If like you're scared of something or you're
And
Yeah,
also
definitely.
the over-exaggerations we see in ourselves.
Exactly.
Where we may not be as bad as we think, and we might be as good as we think. Because if you take a look at the picture that he was drawing of himself, it was horrible.
Yes.
And it
Very
was only getting
judgmental to
worse.
me. Mm-hmm.
But he's probably not a phoenix either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really find it interesting, and it doesn't mean you're wrong, that you see a self-portrait in that picture. It's very up in the air who that is.
I see that as himself as 50.
I mean, that's
how
definitely...
he saw himself at 15.
Oh, yeah, that could be. And again, there's no actual answer.
Right.
And that is something people say. That's not like you're out of left field.
Okay.
I just think that's one of the things I find really cool to see how people interpret that. Because...
But he could also be seeing himself as a phoenix in this group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now I'm a superstar. And back then, I couldn't see anything good about myself.
Yeah.
And I felt everything was against me. When the birds flew over,
Mm-hmm.
it gave more the impression of bats than birds.
Yeah, that sound for sure. Yeah.
So it sounded more like he could have interpreted something that was good as something bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he didn't see it clearly.
Yeah.
Good.
Which I think is relatable, right? Who saw everything clearly at 15? Oh, of course you did.
I know everything.
You've never been 15.
That's true.
You've always been exactly what you are now.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
All right, guys. So we're going to move on to Lie next. As always, it's an early access film.
It just
If you
said
wanna...
to me, what did you think?
She does not care.
She didn't know. She cares deeply. See?
No, she's going, I have also always been here. I am the Abraxas and the god of this world. I don't care about your light and dark sides. Right?
We're just here to serve you. We
Right?
understand.
She just is who she is, which is something we should learn from, right? Like, just be. She's just a dog. We can just be us too.
Okay.
But yeah, early access series. So if you want to see Lie now and you're watching this on the YouTube, Lie is already on the Patreon. So head on over if you want to, or wait until next week. Either way, we're going to make our way through these. All right. So until next time.
Live long and prosper. Excuse me.
Yeah, did you just peace?
I just did a peace sign.
Live long and prosper.
Here. Live long and prosper. That works.
Also, like, comment, and subscribe to both of us.
Bye.
혼자 살아나고 혼자 소만 이별